Okay, so let's do these. Okay, so here again we have two equations with two variables, and they're asking us for the value of one of the variables. So you'll stack up the equations, one on top of the other, and either add them or subtract them. And you want one of the variables to cancel out. So in this case I can see if I just add straight down, the y's will cancel out. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. The y's cancel. 4 plus 1 is 5. So x would be 1.
Oh.
Good top line.
I subtracted it and got x equals 5.
You subtracted what?
The two equations. All right, Lauren.
If you subtract the two equations,
Shut up.
you have to be sure and subtract everything in the second equation. And so it makes it so that nothing cancels if you try to subtract the two equations. So it only works if you add them. Yeah. That's right, that's good because I hadn't shown y'all subtracting, so that was a good chance to show that. Okay. At a restaurant, 2 orders of pancakes and 1 order of bacon costs $4.92. If 2 orders of bacon cost $3.96, what does 1 order of pancakes cost? This is kind of a system problem, but not really. It's pretty easy if you'll translate it into equations. You've got 2 orders of pancakes and 1 order of bacon costs $4.92. And then 2 orders of bacon cost $3.96. You can figure out how much the bacon costs by just dividing by 2. So an order of bacon is $1.98. And then you could come back up here and plug that in and figure out how much an order of pancakes costs. So if I plug in $1.98 right there, I'm going to have to subtract $1.98 from $4.92 to figure out how much the 2 orders of pancakes were, and then divide that by 2. $1.47. Did any of y'all get that one?
Yes.
Good. Okay. The last one is kind of a variation. You're still going to use the strategy. But this time they don't want to know x or y. They want to know another relationship between x and y. But you can still find that relationship by adding or subtracting these two equations. It's just this time adding and subtracting is not going to cancel out a variable. We don't want it to. We want it to give us 2x plus 7y. So if I subtract the second equation from the first one by changing all the signs, 2x plus 7y equals 5. So these simultaneous equations, a lot of times when you add or subtract them, you're not going to be trying to find x or y. You're going to be trying to find another relationship. But you should be able to get that relationship from adding or subtracting the two equations. So if I subtract the second equation, if I change all the signs in the second equation and then combine like terms, I get 2x plus 7y equals 5. 2x plus 7y is 5. Okay.
Inequalities.
Inequalities. Oh, I did it again. Now I'm looking at a dress and okay. Treat these just like equations, but remember one rule. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign changes direction. So if you look on the first one, to solve this one, we're just subtracting 6. We're not multiplying or dividing by a negative, so we don't change the inequality sign. On the second one, we're just dividing both sides by positive 2. We're not multiplying or dividing by a negative, so we don't change the inequality sign. But on the third one, to solve for x, because I'm dividing by a negative 2 to solve for x, I have to change my sign. And that's the trick on inequalities, is they work just like equations. You're still trying to get the variable by itself on one side, but if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to change the direction of your sign. Alright, rolling right along. Try to get, we may only just have one thing that we don't get done today. I'll do that in the period tomorrow and post it. Okay, so quick quiz number 4. Inequalities, one easy, one medium, one hard. So just take a couple of minutes to do that and we'll run a little long. If you need to leave, I understand. I'll finish these up and post them. So. Okay. So let's look at the first one. Okay, so if you tried to get your x's together on one side of the inequality, typically you move to the left. You don't have to. You can move the smaller one to the bigger one. So this would give me negative 2x plus 7 is less than negative 4. And then I solve for x. And I pay attention here that I'm dividing by a negative. So that's going to flip my inequality sign around. Okay, now I got x is greater than 11 halves.
I did it a different way.
Which one is the same as that?
A.
A, right? Remember the alligator's eating the x? So if you flip it around, it's still going to eat the x. So this would be A. Which if you, instead of moving the 5x over, if you had moved the 3x over instead, you would
No,
have
that's
ended up
what
with
I
that.
did. What did you do?
I moved the 4 over. I
What'd you do?
subtracted- Or I,
Did you move the 3x over?
no. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
My
moved the
second
3
part.
You did what I did.
So, okay, so let's see. What did you do first?
I added the 4.
Okay, so you added the 4.
And then it crossed off, and then I moved the 3 over.
And then you moved the 3 over.
I got
And then-
11.
Yeah.
So you got 11 is less than 2x.
Yeah.
You got the
And
same
then
answer,
divide
you
by
just
2.
did it different.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that's the
That's
same
what I
thing.
did.
Yeah, so that worked out good. Okay. The next one.
Okay.
If you get the b's together, 3b minus 2b is 1b. And then you subtract 8 from both sides. And then it said b is a negative integer. So right away it can't be a or b because those are not negative integers. And out of the 3 that are left, there's only one that's greater than negative 2. Negative 3 is less than negative 2. Negative 2 is equal to negative 2, and that's not an option, so it has to be C. Greater than negative 2.
Okay, I just did it backwards.
Oh, why'd you get it right?
I had to check.
Okay, and then the last one. Alright, so 3t minus 3 is greater than 6s plus 9. And t minus 5s is less than 12. And s is a positive integer less than 4. So that means s has to be 1, 2, or 3. Right. Those are the only positive integers less than 4. So if I look and I solve each of these for t, let's see, on this first one, 3t is greater than 6s plus 12. If I divide everything by 3, t has to be greater than 2s plus 4. And then if I take the second one and solve it for t, I get that t has to be less than 5s plus 12. So if you'll take the highest value of s and plug it in here, and the lowest value of s and plug it in here, you should get a range for your answers. So the t could be any of the following except what? Okay, so let's see, if we plugged in 1 for S, that would mean that T has to be greater than 6, but less than 17. Alright, if you plug in 1 for S. If you plug in 2 for S, you get that T is greater than 8 or less than 22. And if you plug in 3 for S, you get T is greater than 10, but less than 27. So which one of those numbers could T not be? It can't be 6. Because the lowest that T could be has to be greater than 6. Greater than 8, greater than 10, less than 17, less than 22, less than 27. But it can't equal 6.
Oh.
That one was hard. Okay, so the last thing that we have is functions, and I'll record the little bit about functions tomorrow, 7th period, and post that. That way we